Right, let's test out the Vivo Z5 camera. We've got it up against the Honor 9X and the Redmi K20. The 9X and the Vivo Z5 have a similar starting price. The Redmi K20 is a little bit more expensive, but this Vivo Z5 is really interesting. You get a lot of specs. It basically ticks every single box, plus it has a really competitive price. You'll see throughout the video that, wow, this Vivo, it performs really well in a lot of areas. It does have some downsides though. I think that stabilization of the main sensor in all of these cameras is quite similar. The Vivo has a Snapdragon 712 processor that's compared to the Xiaomi's 730 processor, a slightly more expensive chip, and then the Honor 9X has the new Kirin 810 mid-range processor from Huawei. The main sensor under all of these cameras is a 48 megapixel unit. So differences are going to come from software and the processor rather from the actual camera under that main lens. I actually think the Vivo Z5 just beats out the Honor in terms of dynamic range and colors. Just look at the big tree in the background there. It looks a little washed out on the Honor, whereas the Vivo tends to make it look a little bit more vibrant. If you compare this ultra wide shot on the Vivo to the Redmi, I think the leaves on the tree tend to stand out and look more lifelike on the Vivo as compared to the Redmi. We can't compare that to the Honor 9X because that doesn't have an ultra wide camera. Zooming in 2 times on all of the devices, the Redmi is the only one that has a dedicated 2 times camera, but I can't see too much difference. Zooming in 5 times on all of these, apart from a difference in colors, which is subjective, actual quality doesn't change that much. Zooming in 10 times on all of them, I think the Redmi is a little bit clearer than the other two, but it's very close. And wow, those colors on the Vivo really stand out. They're super vibrant. But how about zoom for video? Is there any differences between how they zoom in? Let's try on all 3 of these. And I would say that the difference in quality is very minor, but you can see in the middle there, the Vivo is having a little bit of an issue stabilizing the footage. They're all zoomed in 10 times, but the Honor and the Redmi seem to be a little bit smoother, whereas the Vivo is shaking about a little bit. And that means that stabilization maybe isn't as good as the other two. So the Vivo has a main camera, an ultra wide camera, and a 5 megapixel depth sensor for portrait shots. The Honor 9X just has a main camera with a depth sensor, no ultra wide. And the K20 Pro has 3 camera units, main, ultra wide, and 2 times zoom. You can record video off the ultra wide lens on the Vivo, but it's a little bit shaky. If we compare that to the Redmi, it just is really smooth on the Redmi, and it should be smooth, but the Vivo is definitely more shaky than that. The Honor doesn't have an ultra wide, and so it's much more cropped or zoomed in, but the stabilization appears very good, at least compared to that Vivo's ultra wide. That is definitely something that Vivo can correct with a software update. So stabilization on zoom and the ultra wide may need to be corrected, but look how good the photos are on the Vivo Z5. It's like I took a black and white shot with the Honor. The Vivo Z5 looks so much more vibrant. It looks so much better to my eye than both the Redmi and the Honor. It's a really great picture. So the Vivo Z5 and the Honor 9X lowest models actually share a very similar starting price. So you get some advantages with the Z5 having that ultra wide camera and 4K video recording that you don't get on the Honor 9X. But you're going to have to look at the actual quality of the normal images, because that's what you're going to be doing most of the time. Some people don't even need 4K, they're just going to record in 1080p, and how the photos look is going to be subjective as well, but you can make up your own mind if the Z5 with the extra wide angle camera and 4K video recording is for you. These colors will be down to your personal preference, which one you like, but the Vivo certainly takes really vibrant, good looking images, in my opinion. All 3 of them beautify and smooth out your face, even on 0 beauty modes. But the detail you get from all of them is very, very similar, and that's not surprising considering they all use a 48 megapixel sensor. HDR is important too, and I tend to prefer the Vivo here. It keeps more detail in that dark branch. The camera apps all have very similar options. You have to go into the settings to choose 48 megapixel mode on both the Honor and the Vivo. That is a setting down near the capture button on the Redmi. The Honor does not shoot 4K video, as I said, but the Vivo does. Although that's not something you might value, so you have to make your own choice. They all have pro modes though. If you want full control over the shots you're taking, you can use that. They all have slow-mo too, panoramas, night modes, and some AI functions as well. Turning on the AI cameras can really help you take some really vibrant, interesting shots. And all three of the cameras have an editing option as well, where you can go and resize your shots or change some of the settings. This is a really good example of how the colors change between the three phones. If we turn off one of the lights, it gets a bit darker. And if we turn off all the lights, the cameras have to work hard to expose everything properly. And this is night mode. I think the Honor keeps a little bit more detail in the wood effect below the cans, but they all did a decent job in low light of brightening up the image and making it usable.